Greetings, flesh creatures. It is I, Megatron. On behalf of TFYLP, I want to congratulate you for listening to the most refined collected podcast on this miserable little planet Earth. Yes. Here you'll find knowledgeable fans discussing every aspect of Transformers and beyond. Now, enjoy the show while I continue my path to complete conquest of all of you miserable biological entities. Predacons, terrorize!
Hi, welcome to TFYLP for Monday, June 29th. Tonight with me, I've got Rob.
Hi!
I've got Paul.
Hello.
And Nick.
Hey guys.
So welcome everyone. So we had our first Transformers First Friday, or what is that what it's called?
Fan First Friday!
Fan First Friday, so...
I don't know why they're trying to make it a thing. It's not going to be a thing. They're going to do it for like 3 months and then...
It's already not on Fridays, so they've already...
Yeah, wasn't it on Monday, one of them?
A revenue generation tool is all it is.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
guess
working.
it's better than Family.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that nowadays with the, all the stuff going on and SDCC canceled, like, it's kind of nice to have some of these. Like, I'd rather them do this than just not release anything, and then all of a sudden it's like, surprise, like, wave 3 of, whatever toy line, like, it's out.
No, I mean, like, I like it in general, the idea of like, hey guys, we're doing a thing, it's on the internet, you can watch it, and then we release some toys and kind of doing that regularly. I'm down with that. I just don't think it'll long term have like any staying power.
It may not, but I think it's honestly like every single toy, they should do this, make an event out of it. Every wave that they release, every special release they're going to do, like, it doesn't cost you anything.
Right.
It's just time, and like someone has to write a script or like kind of, so it costs you something. It's like minimal effort, but like, it's great. I like the dude from G.I. Joe. Did you guys watch the G.I. Joe one?
Yeah.
When the art director came on and he clearly like was hungover and like it was just it looked like it was in his laundry room or something. He had very fascinating stuff to say. Like, I'm not trying to dog him, but like I was laughing when I saw that dude.
Aw.
Yeah. I mean, all these people are, especially as we enter our advanced years, the more you learn that like, oh man, big companies, oh no, it's just a group of people, man, like just making shit up and trying to make it work. That's all it is. Ain't nothing special to it.
Right. So, yeah, and I'm sure that, some of that's probably new to some of them, where it's like, oh yeah, you're doing a stream all of a sudden, like, you're used to doing like a Zoom meeting or whatever with like other people in the company, but it's like, oh, we're streaming out to thousands of, people, and anything that you say is going to be, people will scrutinize and, all that type of thing too, so.
Stuff we don't have to worry about on tftalk.net, right?
Right, exactly.
Is anybody out there?
So,
I mean, I think it's one of those...
F in the chat.
As our generation gets older, like, and then especially like the generations under us, I think they're more and more comfortable with what a stream is and how it functions and what it means to say stuff on it, and so they're both more comfortable with it, and they know what to pay attention to and what to ignore, as long as they don't try to cancel you on Twitter or whatever. But who gives a fuck about Twitter?
I think you're 100% right about that. And what's really weird to me was watching the chat. Like, it's just so many people like have to just mind spew what they think.
No filter.
And it all just it all goes away. It's like, I guess it's sort of healthy because you get to like have that outlet, but no one's listening, dudes. Just keep it in your heads if you can.
I mean, now we read our comments, but we will just ignore the dumb ones.
Like the dude that always says, "I want to be your friend."
Oh, that's literally spam. I delete those when I can. But
I was gonna say,
hey, want to be friends?
I usually respond. I like responding to those ones. Like, no, I don't.
I
really don't want to be your friend.
I knew that had to be you that responded to it. I saw you got a hate comment on the TF Talk from Sunday. Did you see
I
it?
didn't see that.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, it said the very definition of try hard. And somebody on the cast loved it because it's got the little heart on it. Cracked me up.
Yikes.
Internet.
Might not be me you're talking about. But.
I don't know. Somebody did it. Yeah. Anywho.
So, but yeah, no, I mean, I thought it was, I don't know, I enjoyed it, and I think as they try new things, and I mean, they at least, like, I thought some of the questions they put up at the end, I thought were somewhat interesting. I mean, even though they, kind of gave their normal response and whatnot, but at least, like, you got the opportunity to, when they, I think people were asking, like, what about some Japanese, Transformers releases, and I'm trying to think some of the other questions that they were asking.
Like, I didn't catch it live. I was just heads down in work at the time, but, it was still, I'm so glad it happens, and hopefully it'll last for a while.
Yeah. So, and it was kind of nice actually to see other people, like, you hear from Warden and Ben Montana so much that it's like actually hearing from other people off of the brand team was kind of, nice as well. So,
yeah, Lenny, the guy Lenny is the new. He's taking over for John Warden right now. I don't know if that's that was clear in the Toy Fair stream. But remember, they brought him out, and he was kind of talking about the brand a little bit. Like,
oh, I didn't realize that.
He's a design manager now.
Well, what's Warden doing?
Warden, yeah, just shifting it around.
I think he's still there, but he's doing some other stuff. I don't know. They haven't made an official announcement about it, but that's kind of the rumblings. Is that things are they shift people around every once in a while.
Yeah,
and who the woman that was on, I can't remember her name, but I did interact with her at Toy Fair this year. Like I had her pick up a box and turn around and let me take a picture of the back of it, to see the photos and stuff. And it was cool to see her on there because it's always nice to see someone that is sticking around, and it's nice to have. It's always been hard to keep females on the brand. It seems it's always just been kind of dominated by the dudes, and we had Ran. Was it? Yeah, it was Ran, right? The other female from last year. Do you guys remember that? Or Sun? Was it Sun or Ran?
There's 3 people from Hasbro that I've ever remembered. Just to be clear, that's where I'm coming from. I don't know about Nick and Lucas.
She was on the Unicron video where they were kind of talking, hyping it up. It was John Warden and this other person. And anyway, I haven't seen her in a while, but I think she went to Power Rangers or something. But anyways, it's just nice. She's good. She's competent in what she talks about. She understands the brand, and she's working on it day in, day out.
When Fun Pub took over BotCon, I remember whoever was hitting up the brand at that time used to always kick it off by yelling, "You got the touch" or whatever, and that was always real memorable to me. I don't know if any of y'all, 'cause I don't think you came to them until later, Paul, and I don't think you went to a bunch of them, Lucas. Do you remember that, Nick? Were you going to them at that time? Do you remember that?
I had a gap in between 2001 and 2008. So if it was the first few 5, 6, 7, I might have missed those.
He was definitely at 6 and 7, I want to say, but I don't remember exactly when he left. But that was kind of a kickoff. It's oh man, but then he wasn't there anymore, and then it felt like every Hasbro panel was just this rotating cast of people that I see you for an hour a year, and I don't study the brand at that level, so you're easy to fall off my radar if you don't show up a few times, so Aaron Archer stuck around and John Warden stuck around because I've seen him too much, so now the Ben guy's starting to get familiar,
Yeah. Well, Ben is John's boss essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, or there's some sort of hierarchy there.
Got it.
That guy Lenny has been around for a while though. I remember at Pasadena, it was his birthday. And John Warden had just got on the brand from G.I. Joe, so this might have been...
Which Pasadena? There was 3 of them?
I want to say it was the last one, so maybe 14, 13 or 14.
Yeah.
It was the one where we had like 10 people in that hotel room for a while, Rob. Do you remember? Anyways,
You're gonna have to be more specific.
Yeah. Listeners don't need to know that, but I remember like they were celebrating. The Hasbro team was celebrating Lenny's birthday at the bar, and I like recognized them, and I was drinking with those guys, and so it's just funny to see them now. I hope they don't remember that, but I do. Anyway,
Yeah.
I think he's good. He's. I remember he was on a video for like when they released that kind of bad Age of Extinction Optimus Prime, like the big one that was a total shell former. So he was like the guy, like, you know, introducing that toy on video.
No, but
and
it
stuff.
did actually transform then.
It did. Yeah.
Okay. So it's not on topic. It's like the whole chat isn't.
Amen.
But it is nice though to see someone on the team like where, you know, behind him, like he had a setup kind of similar to our stuff where it's like he had a bunch of shelves of collector stuff and all that. So it's nice to have, you know, someone like, you know, at least that there's collectors on the team, you know, even if, you know, they don't always necessarily execute what we want. But so, but yeah, so I guess like we had a few repaints, and I just thought it was interesting on the stream. They were trying to like show them off like that there were new toys, you know, like the gosh, what was it? Well, I mean, we had the pack, I guess, with the
Centurion,
accessory pack, which I think is really neat. But the drone or whatever character, I thought it was neat where they're, I don't know, he's like trying to make it seem like a new character, and you're like, no, that's a repaint, you know, so.
We've gotten it a few times. I think it's awesome that they're doing an accessory pack. I hate that I'm not interested in it, but it's just, I'm like, eh.
Well, you don't collect the mainline stuff, so you don't even have any of the things that like those augment.
I might. Like, I mean, I have some mainline stuff, you know, but I'm very picky these days. You know, so it's one of those, like, I think it's something they should get more into, and so I support that decision, even though I'm not going to buy it.
I mean, my only complaint is that quite a number of the weapons were unpainted. So, like, that's kind of annoying, where it's like, oh, it's all gray, but, I mean, it is what it is, like, it's a $10 accessory pack. It comes with a lot of stuff, like, and I thought it was neat, like, it comes with a roller, it comes with, you know, the some Megatron. I think it came with his gun or whatever, the blaster and all that type of thing. I'm trying to think of all the you know,
axe,
his
the mace
and the Energon axe and whatever. So I mean, it's a pretty decent pack. And like, if you had actually ordered it right away, I think the price of it was $20. But then like, which they messed it up. And I think it went down shortly after, and they put it up for the right price, which was $30.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Whoops.
Don't be snoozing.
Don't be.
Save that $10
I mean, that's significant. You know, you basically got the pack for free.
I mean, it's half off. Or sorry, $10. Fuck it. Math.
I mean,
How's that math working for you, Rob?
It's not. I was like $10 off, and it's $20, half off. Like, wait, what? No, I'm an idiot.
I mean, you can totally see what happened because all the other generation selects that are deluxes are $20.
Well, they did that when Pulse went live. Remember how we got all those deluxes for like $10?
Yeah,
right.
That's awesome.
That's good.
Yeah.
Max 10 per figure, by the way.
Oh man.
So.
By the way,
what else did they reveal?
Oh yeah.
So then the thing that they revealed that, you know, we kind of wanted to have the show about is they have a new line called the RED. Is that right?
Robot Enhanced Design.
Red.
We needed something to stand for red.
Yeah, just call it red,
And
please.
It's
It's
a
obviously like Star Wars Black, right?
Yeah.
It's
Shawshank series.
And I thought, so these are non-transforming Transformers, and it's actually a Walmart exclusive, which it seems
Sucks.
like is Walmart's just buying up all the Transformers exclusives, apparently.
I mean, they got NECA exclusives too for Ninja Turtles, and I'm sure they got exclusives for other brands that I don't follow.
Yeah, but this is like an entire line, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's
So
just
it's
the
the
first
NECA
wave.
stuff.
2 retailers left to do this kind of stuff. It's Walmart or Target.
Or
Nobody else has a
or they
nationwide
call the-
chain.
Or they call like the fan channel, which is like, Big Bad, TF Source, whatever. And then, Amazon will get it. Or sometimes, like it'll be online retailers only. So I think there's only 2 brick and mortars left, but I think there's a lot more options out there too when they want to do it.
All dependent on the size of the line.
Yep. Like is it the first like Transformer line that is like we get exclusives through other places, but the whole line being exclusive to Walmart, I think is kind of new for Transformers.
I mean,
right?
the Netflix, I guess.
No?
The Netflix, they have. This is their 3rd exclusive line. All the vintage toys are going through
the
Walmart.
G1 too. Yeah.
Man,
All the Netflix, the entire, basically like War for Cybertron 2, the better version. Like that's all through Walmart, and now they got all these.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Apparently, the buyer for Walmart must be like a Transformers fan or something.
Bring it. I mean, it's more product. I think it's great.
Or an
we-
80s fan in general, because I know what they also have, like He-Man. I think they're getting G.I. Joe. I'm trying to think of some of the other stuff that they've had as well. So, yeah, they've been stocking up.
I mean, with the NECA stuff, it's not like NECA's making Walmart-specific lines of toys. They're getting, like, specific characters of a line that already exists.
No,
Right?
they're not.
Yeah, they are. The whole Ninja Turtles movie line is not a Walmart exclusive. Just that 2-pack is.
Right, just 2.
No, like everything coming up is like Toka and Razar, Super Shredder, and the Casey Jones and Raphael that just came out. All that's Walmart only.
Well,
Like I think
they must have realized GameStop was trash, and they moved on to someone better.
They switched it from GameStop to Walmart, and now it's all Walmart.
Well, thank God.
No, it sold out in like 10 seconds.
Yeah,
it's
the
not like Walmart's
GameStop,
any better at
like-
getting you a pre-order. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, that is
the
true.
devil,
I
you
guess.
know.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like GameStop may not be around a year from now, so
I think that's
We can only hope. Not a fan of them or their practices or anything, but that's a completely different show. So-
but yeah, so this red line, the thing that concerns me a little bit about the line is that it's supposed to come out in August, right? What are you?
We're listening intently.
I want to know what concerns you about this toy.
Jeez. Okay. So it's coming out in August, and Lenny on the stream is showing off like a pretty loose thing, and he's like, "Oh, this is like a production sample. We're still working all this stuff out." And I'm sitting there in my head going, "Wait a minute! Like it's July. Like if this comes out in August in the U.S., it pretty much needs to be done by now." So
Yeah.
like
First
in
rule of
shipping,
toys: all toys are late forever. Whatever date the
Yeah.
manufacturer thinks it's going to get made, add like 2 months at least.
Well,
Yeah.
he might have had that sample for like 4 months. Who knows?
yeah,
Let's
that's
give him
true.
the benefit of the doubt. We don't know. It didn't just fall out of the sky into his house yesterday.
Do we think Soundwave and Megatron were ever in stock?
I don't know, man.
I don't
No,
think
not
so.
yet. Trust
we don't
me,
think so.
they're not yet. Especially since Prime is still available.
Okay.
Dude, I guarantee you, between all of the people on Facebook and TFW, like, someone would have been like, "Oh, I got a pre-order."
I got
like,
one.
I'm
Right,
shocked
there was
that there's
that
not
guy.
Okay.
somebody that's lying
I
about it, that's saying, "Oh, I got a pre-order," but doesn't actually have it.
So should we start off by talking about the argument around the whole line itself? Should we start there and just get that out of the way now that we're 20 minutes into it?
We have to talk about it. Sure.
All right, people that don't like Transformers, that don't Transformers, can shut the fuck up. There.
Wow. Dang. I
it-
didn't actually check with everybody's opinion ahead of time, but is everyone okay with non-transforming Transformers?
It depends on the non-transforming Transformer, honestly. I think if you're going to do it, this is probably the best way to do it. Because they're still posable action figures that, look cool on your shelf. And that's what most folks our age are buying them for at this point. Unless you're like the ultra uber nerd guys like us, you're not transforming them every day or every week or every month. They go
Most
on the
of us
shelf
don't.
once, and that's it.
Newsflash: I don't transform my Transformers. They
Yeah.
stay in robot mode. There's lots of them I've never transformed.
Well, then, there you go. These are designed for you, buddy.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've said
transformed.
on the show that, like, hey, transformation is causing a lot of problems for people. You know, like, oh, it doesn't look good in robot mode, or the vehicle mode sucks. It's because you got to make it go from one mode to the other, so you got to make compromises.
Yeah.
And if you didn't have that third thing, which is the transformation, you kind of can do anything you want. The only thing I think is missing is the alt modes in some form. I would like to see them address that some way.
I mean, are you going to buy you can go buy a Hot Wheel. You can go buy that Optimus Prime ornament thing. Yeah,
sure.
So apparently, those in the chat do not agree with our opinions.
Good. It's you can ignore it. It's really easy to not buy them.
Yeah, that's the whole thing about these is that it's easy to go, you know what, these are not for me and I don't need them. There's plenty of other product to buy at this point.
I mean, people that they only want to buy, interested in the toys to transform it and to play with it. Like, that's totally fine, but the people that just cannot make that connection of why would you buy this when it doesn't transform. It's a love for the brand. It's a love for the characters. I mean, like, I have a Wolverine toy. His claws don't retract. Better throw it away. Not my T-shirt. This is a Mountain Dew T-shirt, but I can't drink this T-shirt.
But how much better? But how much better would it be if it were Mountain Dew scented?
Oh my God, it'd be awful.
You can buy it now at virginforever.com. It's
these same people complaining about that. Like, do they have Marvel Legends collections? Some of them do, and I'm like, what? Why do you not understand the connection here?
I had to get out of Marvel Legends myself because it just got to be too much. Like, that's the one thing I'm worried about this line is I'm like, where the heck am I going to put this? I already, barely have enough space. And like, that was like Marvel Legends. It's just like every line comes out and you're like, oh, well, I kind of like that one. I like that one. I like that one. And then like, I've got like 100 Marvel Legends and I'm like, what am I doing with my life?
I think it's important to note that like, this isn't the first time we've gotten non-transforming transform figures in, like, it's not a new concept. Obviously some people in the chat have been talking about Action Masters.
Sure.
And so, but they had little partners that transformed, right? But then we had like
Revoltech.
Yeah, Revoltech. I mean, we've had Robot Heroes, which was a great, fun little line.
They were adorable.
They sold a bunch. We had
vinyl figures from Transformers Prime, the 5-inch guys that somehow got re-released at Walmart like last year. Oh yeah, those two from the entertainment packs, but those are accessories. They weren't really the focus.
I mean, and we've got I got Human Alliance Bumblebee. That line had the partners with it, which that's why I'm really interested in the line. Is like I am curious about maybe I'll cherry pick a couple of the action figures, but I'm really looking forward to it to give us an avenue finally for non-transforming characters that are in our shows because, like the entertainment pack-ins, like, these aren't much.
Yeah.
Or you got Sorry from Animated. All we have is this crappy third-party thing that was in that 3-pack.
Oh, man, if they do it, Sorry.
I don't think they will, but I would buy, a 3-pack of Humans just like that third-party company did with that crap, forever ago. But, a chance to get us, some of the human characters and the non-transforming figures. There's no avenue for that anymore right now. In Transformers, this could give us that avenue.
As much as I'd love that, I don't see it happening.
You don't think? Maybe not right off, but
so one thing for me is that I think. Years ago, I wouldn't have agreed with that. I would have said, I want transforming Transformers, and Masterpiece is perfect and all that, right? But now, everyone wants hyper accurate for everything. Like, both modes have to be accurate. And because of that, like, I feel like the figure suffers.
Paul and I are having a little dispute.
I think, Optimus, they pulled it off with Optimus Prime. But Bumblebee, are you telling me that Bumblebee is,
it's got some compromises.
It's got a handful.
Faux parts. I hate faux parts. I really do. Like, I love transforming the toys, but the faux parts always, I'm like, sneaky. That's not right. Can't do that. But they do it.
But, but at the end of the day, again, it's just merchandise for stuff you love. they make plenty of transforming figures, and they're going to extend that to some non-transforming, because the action figure market's huge, and Hasbro's been really doing well with Marvel Legends and Star Wars Black Series, and they just put G.I. Joe out there, so it's kind of is and isn't surprising that it took them so long to try Transformers themselves. I think the person they're really kind of shooting in the foot is Super 7, who is just getting rolling with their cartoon accurate. Their cartoon accurate,
well,
stuff.
You can say that, but I mean, like the reaction stuff is such a niche thing, and like if you were using that like in place of a non-transforming hyper accurate action figure, like then this is better for you. But like to me, it's like, this is like a retro thing that never existed that would have been cool if it did back then.
Here's the problem, though. They wind up being the same price point, $18 versus $12.
Yeah,
and it's a magnitude of scale thing. Hasbro is producing how many more than Super 7? So
I feel like Super 7's market in general, like those people are going to get them both, and they're also going to get 1,000 other things, and they're going to have a storage unit with bins or a basement or whatever with a bunch of bins. Like, I don't know.
You could just say, "Hey Nick, I'm talking about you now."
So, I like you said, I mean, it's so niche or whatever. I mean, honestly, I think that this line kills Amazing Yamaguchi. If they were going to put more figures out like this, I think it kind of kills that. And I also kind of think that it somewhat kills those Flame Toys model kits. I mean, people still like building model kits, and hopefully they won't cross over to where, Flame Toys will focus on IDW or whatever, things like that, so that they're not just completely killing them. But I mean, if I'm going to get a model kit for $50 or I'm going to get one of these figures for $20, it's like, which one am I gonna do?
If you want to build the model kit, that's why you buy the model kit.
Yeah, it's a different customer.
And like the $400 Flames toy stuff, that's on a completely different scale than the $20, And even compared to the Amazing Yamaguchi stuff, which that really line hasn't gone deep, and I didn't really figure they'd go super deep in Transformers anyways, but like the articulation we've seen on the red figures isn't anywhere near what the Amazing Yamaguchi stuff does.
It's a big difference what you get for $50 or $60 versus what you get for $20.
I mean, it's the same thing between Amazing Yamaguchi and Marvel Legends. Right. I mean, all of those are Figuarts.
SH Figuarts.
Right.
Yeah.
The thing, I mean, I think they're being very strategic about this. They're starting with like the greatest hits, but even branching out a bit with like Prime RC and Beast Wars Cheetor. Still like pretty
those
easy
were just in
picks.
Listings, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the first wave, obviously. Come on.
Well, it might if there was only 3 per wave, that might be wave 2.
But I think the other thing that's cool about that is
Legends in waves of like 6 or 7 or 8. Like this is gonna follow the same pattern as that stuff. It's not.
We can.
Unless it's one of those like, it's wave 1 and wave 1.5 kind of deals, because what they do is it's 3 Optimus, 2 Megatron, 1 Soundwave is a case of 6.
Okay, we don't need to fight about this. I'm saying that these are the characters we know that are coming out, whether they come out whenever they do. But it's an interesting selection to start with, and the people that it basically like hits all the bases. But like someone in our chat, God, who was it? And I've heard this from other people too, but I would like to shout out the person in our chat that said it.
Lesser Z said Autobot Spike.
Yes, Autobot Spike is like if they really want to capture the Transformers fans and make them think this matters, is you do characters like Autobot Spike, or you do, this
Alpha
the actual
Trion.
G1,
Alpha
Trion, the G1 Centurion droid.
Sure.
Like I have the Impossible Toys, their full lineup from way back that goes for way more money than they're worth. Like that's again why I'm more excited for the line, is to get more of these guys that don't transform as an avenue. Be it human characters or just other oddball guys like this, or Kranix and whatever their names are.
Orbliss,
and Doc that the third party company did.
Hey Nick, we lost your video, by the way.
God damn it.
Yeah.
You can hear me though, right?
Yeah.
We can hear you, yeah.
That's a great face I'm making still too.
The other thing I think is cool is we can actually get a female character that doesn't have a massive backpack, So I think that that's going to be cool too. Like I'm excited to get that Prime RC as well, just because again, it's not just straight G1; it's something different. And you're like, oh crap! Like Hasbro actually remembers that Prime exists, or like that another toy line from like 2000s exists.
Is Transmutate. It's time to give us a new one, because the old Build-A-Figure is how expensive now?
Is it really?
Yeah, it's like over $100, $200, something like that. It's crazy.
And that thing doesn't stand, like its leg is all warped. It's so crappy. Like and again, a third party company just put one out.
Right.
They did the colors wrong. How are you gonna do the colors wrong?
So, but if they could do that, there's money on the table there. Don't leave that money on the table.
I guess I don't live in a world where just because something is worth a lot, it should be reissued. I mean, but
you don't talking about a reissue.
No.
Why don't you? You're a retailer. That's exactly what you want.
That's exactly why I want it to stay expensive, Nick.
No, you want it so you can sell 1 million of the new one. Don't you?
No.
You're nuts.
Anyways, I mean,
you're nuts.
I just see the Red Series as like the brand unit. We talk about brand unification in Transformers, but like Hasbro streamlining their strengths, which are clearly the 6-inch figure, articulated action figure that's pretty, on budget. It has its limitations.
Yeah.
They're quite
it's
a bit.
budget line.
It's a budget line, but it's like, think about like when you were a kid, you'd kill for this. This stuff is incredible.
Yeah.
So
it's all very affordable.
Yeah, it's affordable. It's a budget line, and it's pretty dang good. I'm not going to say it's amazing. We don't have them in hand yet.
Hasbro has taken the Marvel Legend and they've made that the industry standard of action figure at this point. Between, the Star Wars Black series, the G.I. Joe Classified stuff, and now this Transformers Red. I mean, it's just... Even the DC Universe Classics were meant to imitate Marvel Legends. It all comes out of that same, what is now the standard, 6-inch figure.
Yeah.
So it's only natural that Transformers gets a bite at that apple, too.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it, and I understand people are like frustrated by it, but I just don't understand why, like they're still making everything else. This is but there are people offended. Like my buddy Scotty P at Sabertron, he like went on a diatribe about it, and I'm like, bro, just disconnect for a while, go take a nap.
Well, that's one thing I think is kind of interesting about us, that I'm somewhat surprised that all of us are like, hey, cool, I'm excited for another Transformers line, because listening to the guys from RFC, listening to Scotty, all those guys, they're all like, oh, this is stupid, this is, whatever, and all that type of thing. But
I mean, it's non-transforming stuff isn't new. We've had statues and busts and goodness, again, Robot Heroes is pretty recent. And,
all the way back to SCF PVC back in 2000.
Yes, the BotCon exclusives that we got too, like in that same era, like the BotCon and like they did the Seekers thing. That was a travesty as far as getting it out there. Creos, which the Creos technically transformed, but no one transforms these little guys other than maybe once. You know what I mean? And then they just look on your shelf and they look cute.
I haven't even opened mine.
Like they made some bigger ones that transform, and they're not great. Like I think the little guys are better.
They're creative.
So it's, I don't know. I don't understand why people wouldn't be at least cool that it exists. You don't have to buy it, but getting mad about it.
I get a little bit annoyed at the instant like, oh, you're bringing back Action Masters. I'm like, dude, if Action Masters were like this back in 1990, you would have all of them. Like if you want to talk about something that competes with Super 7, it's the goddamn shitty Action Masters from 1990, which were just G.I. Joes.
Yeah.
The G.I. Joe Transformers is what they were. And those those have a cult following now too, because everything that sucks ends up being valuable later because someone wants to be the hipster collector, which, hey, I love that. I know. Oh, go ahead.
Rodimus in the chat was just saying that he thinks it's a waste of budget that could be used somewhere else worthwhile.
I don't know. Is he managing Hasbro?
Budget.
Yeah,
I didn't know he worked at Hasbro and he knows how their budget's laid out. I bet he doesn't.
Not an or situation. It's not like should we do Wave 4 of Earthrise? No, let's do Red Series. Like that's the brand's in great.
It's about full
financial
spectrum
position.
dominance. It's about taking up more shelf space.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what it's about. It's how do we
Right.
get more pegs on the wall at Walmart? You need more SKUs.
Right.
Well,
And I mean, I think
Walmart
it's
wants to
great
play
for the
ball.
brand. The fact that the brand that we're talking about all of these exclusive like Walmart things, that they're increasing their Transformers line in a time like we don't have a movie for sure on the horizon. Like we have a maybe movie on the horizon.
God.
Like they've talked about it as a theoretical, but it's not like they've started.
One day there
shooting
will be
anything.
another movie, but will that be
Don't
2
threaten
years
me.
or 10 years? Who knows?
Yeah,
You know?
it's like Planet 9, the Transformer film.
So I
Is
mean,
it
the
out
fact
there? We think.
the fact that we have Studio Series and we have this new line and we have the Netflix line and the Earthrise line and the Cyberverse line, I don't know. I'll be curious too to see like is this going to be replacing some of those is Cyberverse whatever going to be ending next year? Like are they going to replace it with another cartoon or is this going to be a filler line until they can get more whatever the next cartoon is out? Yep.
Can I respond to that? Because it feeds into what I was going to say before that. Is if I had to look out, if I had to look at my crystal ball and look forward, like there's two ways this can go. It can have like one wave and it doesn't sell well, and Walmart's like, nah, we're not going to continue this, and Hasbro's like, well, then I guess we aren't, right? But let's say it goes bonkers, and it's great, and like the fandom, our fandom is kind of toe in, toe out on it, but then like Wave 2 comes out, and it's like, Starscream's probably going to be in it. Maybe Prowl, like a few more A-listers, but then they're going to have like 2 randos that everyone's like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like maybe it's Transmutate. Maybe it's Autobot X.
Yeah.
And then they have an exclusive somewhere. It's just like the Black Series. It's just like the Marvel
just like
Legends where
Super
they
7.
build. Is it?
Yeah, because what's the guy that runs Super 7? I just blanked on his name.
About the guy who runs what?
Super 7.
Brian Flynn?
Yeah, Brian. He was doing an interview with Pixel Dan, and they were talking about the Transformers reaction line. He's like, once we get to Wave 2, Wave 3, we're new to the Transformers market, new to that community. He's like, once it was like, oh, they're going with this line. Now I'm getting it. Now I'm interested in it. And I think Red has to do the same thing. It has to show us that they're not going to do the top 6 and bail.
Yes.
For the line to have any, longevity, they got to show that they want to stick with it. Working in weirdos at the beginning, I think, is good. Although, the first wave having Megatron Prime and Soundwave,
Yeah.
it's kind of, but
But they look
Starscream's
good.
not in there.
No,
Yeah.
Starscream's not in there, and that's a whole Seeker pile to go off of from him, But like, imagine it's 2022, and the red line is like in Wave 6 at this point. Like, how much are you kicking yourself because you didn't get Optimus Prime, Megatron, and Soundwave back in 2020?
I think they'll keep coming out with Prime and Megatron.
Don't you worry,
Sure.
there will be
They'll
another
change it.
Optimus, Paul.
Yeah.
There'll be a red hate plague Optimus. There'll be a silver.
Sure, but that's not G1 Optimus Prime. That's not the one you actually want unless you're a Psycho
I'm
fan
sure they'll
like us.
reissue it.
Well, yeah, but
I wonder if they'd repack it, but
Well, you know what? They'll probably since the construction on these is almost, I guess I would call it experimental at this point.
yeah.
Like they like reinvent the Marvel Legends every like 5-6 years, right? They just released a new female body because everyone said the old one sucked,
Yeah.
and they reused parts a lot. So like, yeah, they'll redo some of these guys, but you still might want the original clunkier G1 Optimus Prime, Megatron, or Soundwave. I'm just saying, there's going to be some snoozers out there, and it's going to be awesome for me.
I think we have to look at, I think the reason they're going with this line is because of the success of Marvel Legends and how that, Marvel Legends success bled out into, again, Star Wars and G.I. Joe, etc. So they're like, why aren't we doing Transformer action figures? We got to at least try this, right? But they don't get the reuse that they're going to get out of Marvel Legends. Like, this Wolverine I have, 80% of these parts are on damn near every other figure that exists. But I think if we look at how they keep redoing Wolverine, that might give us an idea of like how if the line does last more than a year or two, how they might keep doing Optimus Prime. Like they even do multiple yellow and blue stripe versions of Wolverine, one of the classic colors, if not the most iconic colors he has. But like they'll do different heads. Or, like, oh, now he's got bone claws this time, or oh, now his mask is torn up, or now it's hanging off his back. Now it's slightly different
Now it's
shades.
the Joe Madureira costume. Now it's the John Cassaday costume. Now it's the etc.
Yeah.
and so forth.
Yeah, it's
Well,
like
maybe we can
Universe
get another
Optimus
Dead
Prime.
Prime. Is that
Yeah.
what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying they probably wouldn't even have to go that much. They could do like, oh, it's a metallic looking Optimus Prime, so it's still red and blue. It's still, it could be your mental image of the cartoon.
Give me a Dark Awakening Optimus Prime with that messed up face that gave me nightmares as a kid. Give me that.
They can do comic stuff now. All this stuff that's been overlooked
Sure.
for all these years.
Yeah,
Like
there
the
you go.
comic color versions that we only got, like
man.
King Grimlock and stuff
Wait till
like that.
wait till
Awesome.
the BotCon or the Transformers Club starts repainting this stuff. Oh,
Oh.
Botcon's back, bro.
Yeah.
Don't you remember a few months ago when we all cared, and now it's and COVID took COVID to kill Botcon twice.
oh. But yeah, like if I'm looking at my shelves, at other Transformer things that don't transform, here's Action Master Bumblebee. Before Masterpiece, from the front and kind of the side angles, this was still the most cartoon accurate Bumblebee that ever existed, pretty much. You know what I mean? And it has, very limited, again, it's the G.I. Joe style at the time.
It's not even G.I. Joe. It's less articulated than G.I. Joe.
It was based off G.I.
He
Joe.
doesn't have swivel arm battle grip.
Oh, yes, he does. I just can't show you right now. But yeah. You're muted, Paul.
Isn't that the basis for this one with the backpack? Is that kind of supposed to be like the Action Master?
I have no idea if that's what
Is
they
that
were
the
drawing
model
homage
kit? What is
from.
that?
I was assuming they were because they got. When
Isn't
else?
that the Flame Toys?
Yeah, this is the
Yeah.
Flame. This is an
Some
awesome
model kit.
Flame Toys build, by the way. It really stands out amongst them. His feet are so chunky and stuff.
Oh, look at that.
And it
They've
doesn't
got the
transform, guys. It doesn't transform, and I bought it.
But yeah, I mean, I think that if they just only started making non-transforming Transformers, I would feel differently
be
about it,
Yeah.
But the fact that it's not like they're gonna stop making all 1,000 other figures, and it's not like, I don't know. I mean, at this point, I have a zillion figures anyway. I probably have a representation of every character that I would want. So, I mean, this is somewhat superfluous anyway, I guess.
Like a third
but
nipple.
it's fun to get something that's highly articulated and is only $20. That's the thing that's exciting for me. And I know this was something that Christian and Anna and I kind of talked about a while ago. That we're like, man, if only they would just make these non-transforming Transformers, it would be perfect. I could just have that instead of Masterpiece. And here we are. They did it. So.
Or did they? And I'm really curious to get them in hand. I don't think the articulation is going to be as good as honestly Masterpiece figures. I don't think they're going to have ab crunches. I don't think they're going to have biceps, which and honestly both of those are things that Marvel Legends have these days.
They actually showed
know.
up if you saw on the stream, it looked like they had an ab crunch. At least on
Really?
Megatron did.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Megatron does for
that's
sure.
pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome then. The more they can put into it, I think the more success the line will have. I'm given that they're finally okay, we're going to do our own action figures instead of just the non-transforming product has been licensed out to multiple companies, that we've mentioned on stream. The 3A stuff has been taken off as well. Granted, that's a much different price point than, $20 at Wally. But I'm wondering if at some point they might move into any type of statue stuff or they're just going to continue to license that out. Because they're doing the Deadpool head thing, which is pretty expensive item, and they've got the child, aka Baby Yoda, it's a big complex electronic. I'm wondering if we're going to get anything, if this them, dipping their toes into more collectible things around the franchise that they do in house instead of just licensing shit out, or making garbage, $50 Bumblebee movie tie-in things that only Peter buys and Nick buys and hates themselves for it. But
Well, you're not wrong.
I'm interested to see how these really feel in hand because you said they're highly articulated. I don't know. That seems like a stretch. I'd call them articulated at this point. But I think
Because we're
3, 4
spoiled, Paul.
yeah, I know.
Okay, so-
I know. I'm not ragging on them.
I would assume that these are
yes.
as articulated as Earthrise, are they not? Or if they're not going to be as articulated as Earthrise, what's the point of buying them?
They better be more articulated than Earthrise, because they don't have usually maybe ankle tilts. They usually don't have wrist swivels, bicep swivels, things of that nature. I hope that Hasbro knows how to make action figures at this point, that we will see it in the action figure. Again, I didn't see the stream. I just saw the promo images and stuff.
Well, I mean, it looks like the feet are on some sort of ball joint. It looks like kind of a Revoltech ball joint. Mm-hmm. With two pegs that can snap. I don't really know for sure, but I mean, when I look at the renders and stuff and the photographs, I see some of those, especially in the feet. I guess what I'm saying is, everyone put your expectations in check. This is a brand new toy line. It's robots that are supposed to be like Marvel Legends, which causes its own problems that Marvel Legends don't necessarily have to deal with most of the time. And I wouldn't be surprised if the first 4 or 5 waves of these, if it gets that far, they redesign the whole thing. Once they show hey, this is worth our time and effort, and we're gonna keep doing this.
Right.
Then I think they might redo it all again, and then it's Red Series 2. But
well, that's the thing I'm quite curious about is that how much is it going to catch on if it's just Walmart? I mean, I guess that there's a lot of Walmarts, but
just the biggest retailer, brick and mortar retailer in the United States
for US. But then I guess what are they going to do in the rest of the world as well? What's going to happen in Europe and Asia and all that? Are they going to also be doing the line over there? Because I mean, I know we all think about the US and all that, but I'm sure there's plenty of international people that
That's a great question.
We don't know what the hell we're talking about when we look only at the U.S. We really don't know what the hell we're talking about when we go outside of it.
Maybe
I'm willing to feign knowing what's going on here.
Maybe you know about this, Nick, because I'm just so horse blinders on. We're used to Transformers having an alternative. I call them sister releases in Japan and sometimes Hasbro Asia, whatever. What happens to the Marvel Legends in Asia?
The extent of my Marvel Legends goes to Canada. That's all the information I have. I know that they get sold up in Canada. Back when it was Toy Biz doing them in the States, and it was Grand Toys doing them up in Canada. They were repackaging that stuff up there. But as for Marvel Legends distribution in the rest of the world, I don't have that information.
Interesting.
Well,
I would make a educated guess that these might not see a sister release in Japan.
I'd be very surprised. Very surprised.
Well, maybe you'll be surprised.
Maybe.
Because Takara did not design these. That is very clear.
Sure.
You still have Hasbro Asia, I mean, I can't imagine that they would not be, thinking about half of their market. Or whatever.
Well, again, we don't have any numbers.
A large chunk of
Asia is not
market.
Japan.
Yeah.
You get what I'm being very
No, I
specific.
know. Right. No, I agree.
Takara Tomy releases stuff, and it's their own line with their own marketing, and we've talked about this, their own numbering and all that stuff. It's it's not it's the same product. It's way more the same product than it used to be, but it's they are in charge of some things as far as how it comes out.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's going to happen this time because they don't transform.
Maybe, but I mean, that's also you got the Revoltech stuff over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's a third part. That's a third party item.
Sure, but
that's a
they don't
item.
transform is not an excuse for why not to export them.
Did Robot Heroes come out in Japan?
That I don't know.
I do. They didn't.
They didn't. Okay.
Interesting.
But again, I mean, I do think this is more of a collector's line. So, I mean, I don't know. Who knows? It may come out. It may not. I mean, but I think right now, I'm sure that they're doing it exclusively through Walmart just to kind of reduce the risk on it. And if it doesn't work out, they can, end the line. So,
I'm kind of surprised that they didn't, or that I would like to have been in the meetings where they said, we want this to be a Walmart exclusive versus a Hasbro Pulse exclusive, type of thing where they could really own it all. I don't have any reason why you would pick one or the other, why they feel that this will be more successful, or did they get more buy-in from Walmart so that's less risk to them? I'm curious about that.
It could even be the kind of thing where Walmart said, well, we're willing to try this new thing, but you can't be poaching our sales. We can't have you poaching our sales on your website. So we want it to be our exclusive.
Or when you can't find it on the shelf at Walmart,
It might
just go to
temporary,
Hasbro
too.
Pulse, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure it's temporary. If the line does well, eventually it'll show up at Target too with like Wave 4 or something. They'll probably have like a 1-year exclusive contract or something.
It's like when AT&T had the iPhone for like 4 years and no one else could sell. And they're like, okay, everyone.
Yeah, it's like that. It's how these kinds of things go.
Maybe, if it's online, I think it's going to be, much more collector oriented. Maybe since it is that $20 price point, they're hoping to catch a lot of nostalgia buyers or, kid buyers, in the store, just, passing down the toy aisle or, grandma buying a toy for little Jimmy.
I'd be really surprised if this becomes popular with kids.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll be curious to see with my kids because, I've said it before that my kids don't really like transforming stuff. Like they get stuck on it and frustrated, and then they just are like, "All right, I'm done." So I actually think that they might enjoy this more than some of the other figures. So why
don't you tell them that you would enjoy them more? If they would finish transforming the damn figure, or else you're going to return them to the store and get a different kid.
Yeah.
What I tell my kids.
Yeah.
The stork flies both ways.
Get back in there.
Put on your swaddling clothes. The stork's coming.
I don't know. To me, I feel like, and I could be completely wrong on this, but like I feel like that Hasbro's biggest market that they're trying to fill is people our age that are parents, not necessarily collectors, but that there's someone like I have a ton of other parents that know I'm a Transformers guy that they buy stuff, like they just ask me, hey, what should I buy for my kid or whatever, and that they see this on the shelf and they're like, oh cool, it's an Optimus Prime, oh cool, it's a Megatron, or it's a Soundwave, whatever. And so to me I feel like that's what a lot of this stuff is that, but they're trying to make it at a price point to where it's like, oh, okay, well, I'll just pick it up, like that you don't have to think about it. Because if it's $100 item, you're going to think about it and whatever, and it's going to be like, oh, you're only getting this for Christmas or whatever. Where if it's like $20 or something like that, it's like, all right, you did your chores for the week, okay, I'll go ahead and splurge this week and get the, whatever figure.
Yeah. Rodimus brought up at some point that I knew we'd have to mention those goddamn terrible shampoo bottle figures, right? Yeah, that are made of out of the shampoo bottle plastic. You got that confused look on your face, Nick.
No, that's what I said earlier. The Transformers Prime ones that they brought back to Walmart all of a sudden. They were out in 2013.
Those.
And then they showed up all of a sudden last year. It's like, I've had these for 5 years.
I figured it out.
Yeah.
This line is for those kids that grew up with those figures, and now they're ready to step up to the next level. It's the shampoo bottle toy kids.
There you go.
Well, it's like, these now.
I've heard that those are the most profitable Transformers of all time for Hasbro.
Yeah, they cost a nickel.
Whoa. A whole nickel? I think you're over.
I might be being generous.
Yeah. I don't think
Abe
would
to ship them than to make them.
Yeah. It costs more to sculpt them and make the molds or whatever they do for them. Oh man, those are. But like those had, I know they talked about many years ago emerging markets, and I think they talked about like that shampoo bottle garbage, and then stuff like the Legends figures that we had 10 years ago. Whatever the small very small Transformer lines. We've always, I shouldn't say always, but I think ever since like World's Smallest Transformers came out in Japan, that Hasbro tried to counter with we've had Legends and Cyberverse and a bunch of different names on it that meant the small Transformers. And we're kind of wondering, like, will this see release out of the U.S.? I wonder if it, in those emerging markets type of scenarios could be something that it could, find a home if it, lives past Wave 2, that is. Which, is always a big question mark whenever Hasbro does something new.
Yeah, I think that, Bobby Skullface brought up a good point. He did a video about this as well, and he said, that Hasbro is not leaving any money on the table. So like whatever niche it is, whatever collector thing it may be, they're gonna fill it. So if it's a statue, if it's a Super 7 thing, if it's a model kit, if it's a, you know, whatever, these action figures and all that. And, you know, he'd also said too that what does Hasbro do best? And as you guys said, like Marvel Legends are the standard, you know, Star Wars Black are the standard for the industry, especially at $20. And so like they're essentially making the figures that they make best. And so I think that from that standpoint, you know, I think that this could be a good thing. You know, I don't know. Again, just depending on what releases in Earthrise and other lines and all that, like this may just be superfluous anyway. And it's like, all right, I already have an Optimus Prime, I already have a Soundwave, I already have a Megatron, whatever. But I am wondering why I can't get that head, and I really hope I can swap the head from the red figure onto the Earthrise Megatron, because I do not like the head on the Earthrise Megatron.
I would not be,
and I can't wait.
I wouldn't count on any interchangeability, but you know, if it happens, it'd be nice.
Yeah.
If you're into that.
I saw one actually kind of interesting take on these from on Twitter, and I don't know who I saw it from, but I think it was Grimlockamus actually. He's like, "Oh my God, I suddenly have a newfound respect for these red figures because the customizability of these toys is through the roof. Like the stuff he can do as a pro customizer with these
It's a
toys.
lot of parts.
Yeah, and he doesn't, and because he said he doesn't have to worry about taking it all apart and making sure it all transforms right and like stuff rubbing and whatnot. I'm like,
right.
Oh my God, these are a customizer's dream come true.
Yeah, they have the like that's a big thing with Marvel Legends, like custom made cast heads, and you know we can get them painted or not. Like there's tons of accessories out there on, you know, eBay and Shapeways and Facebook and all that. Just runs the gamut for what you might want. So again, if it lives past a year or two, it will be interesting.
Let's make it to wave 2 before we start counting those chickens.
Right.
Huh?
Yeah, yeah.
It could turn out like Hero Mashers or something, right? Where that was
Construct bots.
I got a good
Construct bots
feeling.
were doomed from the start, man.
Yeah.
They were designed to be Bionicle when Bionicle was already kicking their ass. So
Yeah.
that's the point.
I have faith in this. I think it's gonna be cool. I'm gonna put it in my I'm gonna collect them all, MISB, and I'm gonna put them in the bin. And that's high praise.
Bin is love, bin is life.
And then 10 years from now, you'll bring them back out and you'll sell them at a
For
store.
$20 each.
Maybe.
Except for the ones that have yellowed in the bin.
Oh.
Because the yellowing cares not where it lives.
You never sell what's in the bin. The bin is for the bin life god.
Not if you're dead.
The great bin.
Coffin.
Dead, they just
Ultimate
put the
bin.
in the sky,
Catherine brings
greatest
up
bin.
a good point in the chat too. Could this line be a crossover for people that collect Marvel Legends, for them to collect a new thing as well? Because like I know, at least in my local like toy groups, there's a ton of Legends collectors. There's probably more Legends than there are Marvel Legends than there are Transformer collectors. And so I actually think like a lot of them, I could see them, you know, kind of getting the bug and whatever. I don't know, like they're not doing Build-A-Figures though in this, at least yet, right?
Not yet.
They're doing the test run in Cyberverse, but
Right.
yes, they will do this at some point, of course.
Well, now to be fair, Star Wars Black has never done a Build-A-Figure.
Well, Star Wars Black also doesn't have Devastator.
True,
Or
and Star Wars
Superion,
Black is still
or Mega
technically a licensed
Supreme.
property.
Yeah.
So
I think if it lives, you know, past 2 years, I think we'll definitely start to see some combiner parts, like as a Build-A-Figure. Like I could see something like you get a leg of Devastator, you know, type of thing. I could see that. That would be cool.
Now that's interesting. Animation model accurate gestalts
Yep.
might be a neat thing to do.
Yeah,
Because they're so
stop
far
bitching.
removed from the toys.
You know who else is doing that? Super 7 with their Devastator that's coming out. But like that's like I understand Paul's point, but I still think there's no way Super 7 doesn't see a hit. But Super 7 is so far left field with all the wacky stuff they do, like the Shogun Prime, and just like they love doing kitschy stuff. So I hope that they'll be all right with it.
I'm sure that that Hasbro and Mattel are both like, thanks Super 7 for giving us all this like test like data or whatever on what's popular and not, whatever. It's like the
thanks for paying us to do all that marketing research.
Right, exactly. The because what didn't Mattel like take back He-Man, right?
Well, the reason they took back He-Man is they were ramping up for that movie project that's been delayed now. So they pulled back all their licenses, was my understanding, because that's what you do anytime you launch a new big movie franchise, is you line up all new licensing contracts with all new fees involved. So that's probably why they pulled it back from Super 7.
Now Rodimus, I'm finally going to agree with him in chat. He's like, what if they did Omega, like I had mentioned Omega Supreme. What if they then did Omega Supreme?
Mm-hmm.
Like I would just, like some of the, if you've ever watched Ouch My Wallet, you know that I love the Action Masters. I just recently completed the Action Master Elites into last year finally. And so like I just, having new action figures of those, sure they technically transform, but it's garbage. I don't need that gimmick of it. Just give me those glorious colors.
Mm-hmm.
That would be so good. I can't imagine how that would happen outside of like a Generation Selects type thing, though. You know what I mean?
There's always convention exclusives.
Well, these aren't under the Generations moniker, as far as I can tell.
No, I was just trying to think of like how that could even happen, and again, that's like so far down the road.
Just some sort of Hasbro Pulse exclusive, like the Regal Cobra Commander.
Yeah.
Not network exclusive.
I'm really curious, like how easily that they'll be able to, kind of use a body, but like put remolded parts on it. Like, I know I was talking to Rick about this the other day as far as like what they kind of do, and the fact that like Earthrise, that we've seen like the Megatron, the Earthrise Megatron and the Siege Megatron, like there's a ton of remolded parts on it, but like it's almost the exact same transformation. And he was saying, oh yeah, like those molds are huge and they just do gates on them, and like you can put the parts here, there, whatever, and it's really not that big of a deal to have like half of it kind of remolded and use the same skeleton. So I'm somewhat curious like how much they'll be able to do that here, and kind of use the same core body or same figure, whatever, but like, because Rob, you mentioned before about reusing some of the bodies, how much will they be able to do that in this line?
It'd be interesting if there's like more skeletal parts and joints and things that they can reuse that are hidden behind the robot blocky parts that aren't so easy to reuse. But I mean, especially like the G1, the 84 to 86 guys, it's not like they weren't repainted all to hell. Like Datsun Bros, very similar. Right. Of course, Seekers, there's a billion of them. And then, as we mentioned, the big guys like Prime and Megatron, you can do, that one episode look, a few times,
right.
Ghost Starscream, Dust Megatron, or Dust Starscream. You can do a bunch of stuff.
I would imagine they have to pick a few like sizes of character and like make a few skeletons that would work between them. I'm interested to see if the Bumblebee is like shorter than Optimus and Megatron, or if he is, scaled up to be at 6 inches.
Do we have
and which solution is better
on that on those listings? Like, is he $20 as well?
They're all the same price. Yeah, they're all the same price. It's just like Marvel Legends. Even the short and the small ones are all the same.
Cost out by wave, then, not by figure, most likely.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume. Yes.
I'm interested in the line. I'm definitely interested. I hope we don't look back on this in a year and be like, hey man, remember we were kind of excited about that and talking about it?
Yeah.
Boy, did that not live past the iconic 6 and then died. Which, I mean, again, you already said what? Like RC and Cheetor have already been listed.
Not just RC, but Prime RC.
Oh, Prime RC. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
In all her blue goodness there. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
definitely into that. Although Prime has a big following, that surprised me.
Right.
Like at TFCon last year, all of a sudden, like there's people like in Prime, cosplay, and people that just talking about Prime all the time. I was like, when did this happen?
Maybe they'll finally release a mainline breakdown.
Yeah.
There
I remember
you
Aaron
go.
Archer talking about that figure.
Yeah,
He
I
was just
think
like, I don't know what they were doing with that figure. It was too expensive. I don't know what Japan was thinking.
the only concern I think for me again is that if the studio series is right, like if they actually do an 86 series, which they haven't announced yet, but like theoretically if they did that, and they still have Earthrise going, and they still have and then they have this line or whatever too, like is that going to end up being too much G1 on the shelf, or is that good? Like, is that a good thing to have like all of the Optimus is looking similar and all the Megatrons like looking similar and whatever? I don't know.
Can you have too much Wolverine on the shelf?
That's true.
So there you go.
I can't have too much Spider-Man.
How many Batman figures are in the DC Multiverse collection from Todd McFarlane already?
Okay, but that line
There's a whole
sucks.
wave of there's 6 Batmans coming out in the next wave.
Yeah,
It's
that
a
line
wave of all
is going to
Batman.
suffer from He-Man 2000X syndrome so hard. That line sucks already. I'm out.
I gotta say, I'm actually impressed because I thought Todd McFarlane kind of had like lost it, but he's making some cool stuff. So yeah. I give him some creative props.
I guess.
So the one thing I will say that these. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, like on that note, like I wish we had hard numbers, for this type of stuff to know. Like, as collectors, we're into everything that's coming out. We're, watching or at least reading about the Facebook stream, and news coming. It's like G1, 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 G1. We are susceptible to getting a little burnt out on it, But when they release stuff at mainline at Walmart, and like sure it's online, but it's going to be in the store as well. How much crossover is there in that market? Like how much more is beyond just the collector market? There's the often quoted bit from BotCon that collectors were 10%, like 15 years ago, which I think even Rick said that guy was talking out of his ass at the time. It was not true then, and it's definitely not true today. But like what are those numbers? Do they risk that on the Walmart shelf or not, or is it just like the more they can put out, the better?
How do you even determine if collectors are the ones buying your stuff or not? That's what I
have no idea.
It's a made up number. There's not like when Walmart watches you buy something, they're like, that's a collector, mark it down as collector sale.
I mean, okay,
like,
let's. But you could tell if you were watching the checkout lines. Let's just be clear here that like, oh, that guy's a collector.
No one's doing that, dude. There is no like repository of data. Maybe there is in China or Russia, but Hasbro doesn't have this data.
If you've ever touched a penny, the government has your DNA. I know Nick gets that.
Well, Walmart has a whole repository. It's like every time you swipe your credit card or whatever, that they're tracking all that, all your purchases and whatnot. So I'm sure that they see, me where it's like, okay, the guy's bought like, $1 gazillion in Transformers and only
I
Transformers.
doubt they aggregate it like that. I mean, they certainly could, but I doubt they are.
Yeah, is there some guy sitting in a chair somewhere that's like, I'm going to look at this Lucas Bachman guy today. Oh, that guy definitely a collector.
No, but I'm sure they probably slice and dice the data up and things like that, is what I'm saying.
I don't think they do per customer. I don't know. Maybe they look at buying.
No, I mean, it's not exactly per customer, but I'm
trends.
sure they probably do profiles and crap like that to sell you ads.
If there are profiles, I'm on the list somewhere, so I hope they don't.
I don't even know how they determined that, but yeah, it would be interesting if they could burn out on G1, at the Wally shelf or whatever.
Well, and Catherine said too that it isn't G1 anymore; it's the Evergreen standard, so the Evergreen model.
I don't know. These designs we've seen so far are all very clearly like G1 cell based.
Very clearly.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I do think that they probably are
models
going more towards that,
slightly
like
different.
trying to standardize, that kind of stuff. I could be wrong, but
I guess I don't get the argument when like the people on bot posting are like, oh, more G1. Like the movies are G1, guys. Like that. It's Optimus Prime. It's all these
You shut
characters.
your whore mouth.
No,
What?
it is. It's the basis.
Dude. I could
It's the
shit in my toilet
archetypes
and
of
be like,
Transformers.
that turd is Prime and that turd is Bumblebee. That doesn't make it G1.
No,
Like,
not at all.
They just slap some names. Those characters have
They share names, and that's it. They don't even share characterization, dude.
no.
They're not G1.
Remember when Prime was all like, "Give me your face"?
Yeah, I
remember
totally
when he
remember
said
that
that
from
all
cartoon.
the time. Remember when he kept
People's
murdering?
faces.
He would beat his enemies down and then he would execute them.
Remember that
And-
time he
Yo,
murdered a
guys,
third of
take
Chicago
your heads out of
just
your
to prove-
asses for a second and
just
listen
to
to
prove
what
that
I'm
the
fucking
Decepticons are
saying.
bad?
All right, go ahead. Tell us how the movies that are completely not like G1 are like G1.
If they didn't have characters like Optimus Prime and Megatron and Bumblebee and all those characters, I'd be like, hey, that's definitely not G1. But it totally fucking is. Because
It's
the
just
same
a name
series
slap.
are
Energon
stated.
and Cybertron have an Optimus
Same
and a
thing.
Megatron.
That's the
They're
closest we ever got. That's the closest we got. We got Hotshot. We got Armorhide. We got all those other characters that were new.
Robots
They
in
actually
disguise as an
reimagined
Optimus
stuff.
and a Megatron. It is not G1. Not the old Robots in Disguise. 2001.
Sure. That doesn't even count. That's a one season piece of shit from Japan that they did
That's like 50
regurgitated.
episodes.
Them's fighting words.
Whatever.
It was a piece of shit though.
Those
Agree on
toys are
that.
amazing. I don't know.
Ultimately, it's still all based on the same lore, just regurgitated. Until they really change
It's all based on the same lore. All of it.
That's what I'm saying. When someone says it's G1, they're making a stupid statement. It's just Transformers. There's
I
no
like how-
alternative Transformers until
Lucas
there
is
is.
just sitting there
Robots.
listening to us bicker, thinking, "Oh God, are they going to quit?"
These fucking nerds shut up now.
I'm sorry.
All they did
I
is say,
apologize.
"Leaders Optimus Prime, the bad guy's Megatron. Oh, there's a Starscream in there. Starscream, they tried to get his character in there. That's like the only one I felt had any, aside from Bumblebee is yellow and Caterpillar. Like, it's
Hey,
so
and
tension.
Paul in the chat, they're wondering what your screen name is on TFW 2005. So
Asshole 25-7. Come at me.
so it says you sound like one of those slobbering deranged lunatics. So
Well, I know.
Well, we all are. So but
I'll accept.
oh boy.
we're in glass houses here. We're not going to throw stones. Now, but you know what? Speaking about the terrible abominations that are the movies that are nothing like G1, again, if it lives long enough, like, we're totally going to get Bay designs as action figures.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
it's going to come. And then
I
Nick
hope
will
they-
buy it and be mad at himself when no one made him buy it. And we're going to be like, quit fucking buying it then.
Did you not see me just mentally prepare myself for that? Because that's
Oh,
what
I
that
did.
was.
I know, I did. And every time I say it, I'm going to tell you about how you're wrong. And one day, you'll be like, oh yeah, I don't have to buy it.
I just hope that they're better than the robot replicas
Well, that's not
that we
hard.
already got. So please, if anyone in Hasbro's listening, please just work at it to be better than that.
So one
don't.
advantage I think that the Transformers
Or don't.
have over like the other figures is the fact that most of their feet are pretty big in Transformers, and so they can actually stand up, and I don't have to buy action figure stands. Like, I mean, I don't know about
I
you,
haven't
but
seen
like
that
Marvel.
RC yet.
Well,
That RC is
Right,
a
she's
bike
wearing high
former
heels.
who has fucking heels.
that'll be the exception. But as far as most of them, like, you'll actually be able to plant their feet, and you don't have to worry about them falling over. Like, that's one of the biggest things that drove me nuts about Marvel Legends, just all those types of figures, is it's so hard to get them to stand without an action figure stand.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to a buddy's house and he's like showing you his collection and he tries to pick something up and they all fall like dominoes?
I don't have.
Shout
real
out to
life
Phil. Phil Switch, what up?
I had one of my wife's friends, you know, like they're in our age group. She's like, "Oh, my husband loves Transformers, and my kid loves Transformers." I got like a 10-year-old boy, and I was like, "Well, they gotta come see the room." They were like cat sitting for us, right? And like when we were showing them, okay, you know, here's the cat food, and here's the litter boxes, whatever. And I was like, you know, that she brought the boy over, and the husband came. I was like, "Here's the tour," you know, or whatever. And he was talking about how he always wanted a Rodimus Prime, and I was like, from G1, I'm like, that toy is such garbage. Like, I mean, I love G1, but I mean that toy's it's trash. I was like, if you want something like this, DX9's carry's awesome, and it was like behind like 3 rows of figures, and I mean, I got it out without knocking anything over, and they're like, "How did you get that?" And I was just like, skill.
Wow. It must have been really impressive if that was more impressive than your toy room.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was quite the maneuver, because that's a big figure too, to get it up and over and out. It can be done. Phil Switch is just his steak hands. Again,
It was like the funniest thing I'd ever seen, and I had to get out of there before I.
You're like, no.
All these Star Wars Black Series, like.
I can't wait until we get these in hand, and somehow, like, even Soundwave that has like big chunky feet and whatever, he's just still back heavy and he just falls over backwards. We're just like, shit.
It is kind of funny that they put the backpack on him. Like, he still has a backpack, even though he's not a robot that transforms.
Oh yeah, he has like the battery cap.
It's like a removable one. Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
It's removable?
I don't know. Yeah, they're showing that off for whatever reason. So
I'm gonna have to go back and watch the stream.
and
Apparently,
he does have a tape. I mean, the laser beak comes out, so like it's a tape. Like, it doesn't transform or anything like that, but
yeah, it's awesome.
You want to know what was frustrating is when they revealed that, everyone in the chat's like, "Does the laser beak transform?" It's like, are you listening to what this is about? This is about the non-transforming toy line.
Right.
I mean, for what it's worth, it's not like they couldn't make it not trans. It was like you can make.
It's like that big.
Technically,
I have
the
world's smallest Transformers Ravage.
The Soundwave statue, the one that's coming out from 3A, like the Ravage transforms like into a tape. Like, I think you can like fold it over in half or something like that, and it'll actually. So.
Crunch mode.
Yeah, pretty much. So, all right. Well, I guess I think we've managed to get pretty off topic here and somehow bring it back to the movies and whatever else. So, do you guys have any final thoughts before we wrap up?
I have some final thoughts about what I'd like to see for the future of this line. I mean, we've already mentioned some sort of Build-A-Figure might be nice, but even if they don't do that, I might just like to see a deluxe, not deluxe because we use that word in fandom to mean something else, but like a larger price point figure, like the $50 guy that's a taller, bigger figure. Somebody earlier had mentioned the giant hologram robot that Hound uses to scare off the Decepticons at one point. He's never had a toy. So like that would be a really neat, obscure thing if they could do it. But that might be too obscure. But something a little bigger. The way that they did the Sentinel sets, Something like that. Just not $150 because I'm done with $150 things, please.
$149.99.
Right.
Oh, great! Well, now I'm sold.
You're gonna buy it.
No, I agree, and for me, like I'd like to see just the weirdo characters and all that, because like for Marvel Legends, like it always annoys me when they have like those deep cuts and whatnot, and you have to buy the whole thing for the Build-A-Figure to get whatever. But for me as a Transformers fan, I'm like, oh, this is great! Like
I want the deep cuts.
Yeah, I want the deep cuts. So it's like finally. However, I don't know that I can stand, like, if they actually start producing this at the level that they do Marvel Legends, that will not be good for me, because it'll be way too many figures coming out.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. Even if I'm not going to buy it all, but I will cherry pick interesting things. I think there's plenty of room in our space for it. If your Transformers are more about the toy for you than the character, that's totally fine. There's no reason to, dog on what you're not interested in.
Right.
I'm, as I started off with, I'm just really excited, as you said, Lucas, for the potential for deep cuts and for non-transforming things to get an outlet. And, it might not happen. It's definitely not going to happen first, but, I have next to me a full thing of, non-transforming characters that don't have an outlet that I could now have a spot that might scale reasonably well with some other collections.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it makes it past, a year or two. Is really what I think we have to see. And how they can.
Really neat is the alien creatures from G1, like from the season 3 stuff, like that snake alien dude. I'd like to see some of those guys. He's in like the Gambler episode. He's in a couple others. He just shows up a few times. I'd like to see those guys.
Like they're doing the Quintesson figure as a Transformer, so like they know that stuff is there and we're interested in it, so there's a whole, family of Quintessons, that we could get. There's just all kinds of good stuff that they could pull from that I think that, they're probably open to. It's just line has to live long enough to get there.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I kind of already stated my final thoughts, which is like, I'm getting all these as long as it goes. Like, I hope they're numbered. I hope they follow that trend where
that would be good.
Very collectible, with like they're doing with all the other collectibles Transformers right now. I'm really into it, and I totally get why someone wouldn't be, and it's totally okay to not like them or like them. This should not be a traumatic experience. There's a new toy coming out. I just don't get it. So, I don't think. I think as time goes on, everyone will be more accepting of it, or they'll just ignore it, and that's fine. But I'm getting them all, and as a character collector, this sort of thing is awesome for me because I get a totally new way to collect these. My about 10 characters over time. So, party on! I'm ready to go. I'm into it. Right. And I hope Walmart gets their shit together and fixes these listings that are not letting me pre-order them.
Yeah, that's really annoying.
Not that I got my last Walmart pre-orders anyway. I wound up buying everything in store because,
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think, awesome. I was going to say, I did get those Ghostbusters figures online. Like, they actually shipped those. But, like, the Transformers stuff, I think I ended up finding all that stuff in store before and I wasn't even looking that hard. It was really more like I'm going to run and grab some milk or whatever and pick up.
Right. I had to do other shopping because I've been trying to avoid going to these kinds of stores. We had to pick up some specific groceries that we were going to get from that Walmart. And sure enough, they had the whole set of the Netflix stuff in the toy aisle. I said, okay, fine. I'll just cancel my goddamn pre-orders, you bastards.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a difference between I canceled it because I found it in the store first versus they canceled it on me. Like, I know some people have had that issue with Target, and then I had to, I ended up having to get them somewhere else. So I wonder if it's, obviously the brick and mortar is getting precedence over their online store. And so are they fulfilling the pre-orders, or do we know? Did everybody end up canceling them just because they found them in the store anyways?
Who knows? I have heard nothing other than, because I still got one piece that I wanted the second one on, the camera guy.
Yeah.
So I still got that sitting out there, and it's still not filling. So
I got my
Megatron.
I got my Ultra Magnuses.
Right.
Yeah. Ultra Magnus. I mean,
which look, now they're dumping them all. So
yeah.
Which
and what's interesting is I bought a bunch of Studio Series 46 Dropkick the other day, and they sent me anything but Dropkick. They sent me a bunch of Studio Series Deluxes that were not Dropkick. So I returned them all. Like, why did you just waste everyone's time here, you dumbos?
Toys is toys, right?
Just fill the order. It doesn't matter. Get it out.
You wanted the motorcycle twins, right? Absolutely not. No, thank you.
So
I have
there
not
you
gotten
go.
any of my Netflix stuff other than the Ultra Magnuses, and I have not canceled them, which I'm looking into doing right now.
Oh. I picked this guy off of eBay for $25 shipped, so I was pretty content with that. That's the only one I bought.
Check out tomorrow night. We've got Microcasters. I don't know who we're actually doing. I think we haven't come up with a consensus yet with which figure. So stay tuned. We should be posting something tomorrow with that. So that's going to be on the TF Talk Facebook page at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. Rob,
It's the off week for Ouch, so
okay.
We didn't have it last week because nobody had anything. It's not like I got anything this week either, and to be honest, I probably won't have anything next week either. So I'm hoping enough cast does to make the show happen, but we'll see what happens. I have stuff ordered. It's just none of it's
shipping.
It's coming from China, or it's like I got some stuff at Big Bad, but it's waiting on some other stuff to come in to ship my pile of loot that's supposed to come in June. June's about over.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning that like the Postal Service is actually seeing a resurgence in problems right now, with the uptick in the virus. That's the only thing I can account for. It was getting better after like 2 months, but I think it's kind of regressing. So, I've had some,
I'm
some
patient.
shipments not reach people like for weeks, and they open eBay, cases against me, and I'm like, dude, dude.
My eBay sales the stuff I've sent out has all still gotten there, which is good at least. But the stuff I got coming in is coming in from China. So I expect it to take 2 months at this point. So.
Right.
Well, EMS did just resume in Asia.
Oh, good.
Funny enough. So.
We'll see if it stays resumed.
Yeah. Well, they're not us, so they'll probably get it right.
They're I was gonna say it may not make it to us, but so TF Talk News, there's a new one that hit last night, so check that out as well. So that usually posts Sunday night, Monday morning, just depending on the feed, and then Cut the Tape on Fridays. So last week Rick had me edit down like a 2-hour. Well, actually, it's longer than that. I don't know how many hours. He had some Lego build of that. What's that Optimus Prime, Paul?
Xiaomi.
The Xiaomi Optimus Prime that, like, it doesn't come with instructions. You have to, like, whatever, like, look at them on some kind of app that from China, whatever.
Tune into the last Ouch My Wallet we had 3 weeks ago where Paul talked about his quest to get the instructions for that thing. It was quite a yarn.
I have since built it.
It looks awesome, to be honest.
It's as big as it's a 2-foot tall toy. I mean, it's crazy big. Yeah, it's awesome.
So, but yeah, so I edited it down and sped it up for Rick. So it was like a 20-minute video of him building this thing. So, so that's Cut the Tape. I'm not sure what's coming up this week though, but anyway, so thank you for everyone in the chat. Zaldrun, Rodimus, Catherine, Lesser Z. I think if I missed, who else I missed?
Everybody that was chatting at least.
Yeah,
thanks for joining us.
But anyway, so yeah, thank you for everyone for joining and participating in the chat and all that type of thing. So, and if you want to continue the conversation, join us on Discord. There should be a Discord link with the YouTube video. So, all right. Well, thank you everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
See ya.